Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Catholic Original Recipe. We are about to upload another episode. I think this is the fourth one. Actually, this is the second one that I've been involved with. This one is an interview with a guy who's coming into our Diaconate program in the Polish National Catholic Church. Nick Natale is his name. I hope I've pronounced the last name correctly. If I didn't, I will find out and I will be corrected. It's a long interview. It's hard hitting. It's raw. But I think Nick is talking from a place that a lot of people in our culture are coming from. He had a lot of psychological, neurological, spiritual issues. But it's a story of redemption. It's worth sticking with to the end. I hope you guys make it to the end. It's about 45 minutes, but it will be worth it. I know people tend not to watch things that are this long anymore on YouTube. Our attention spans are that of a gnat nowadays, but it really is worth it. Please stick with it. I think it speaks to a lot of people. It spoke to me. There are tears at the end. Might even have been some of mine, but definitely some of Nick's. Without further ado, take it away, Nick. Hey everybody, I am attempting to pull off an impromptu interview for our channel, Catholic Original Recipe. I am here at a gathering, a conference, and I have with me Nick, who has made his way into the orbit of the Polish National Catholic Church. He is a former Roman Catholic. I don't know if it's okay to use the word former.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay. And I'm not making this up, it's unscripted. We're doing this off the cuff. I thought that would add a little spice, keep it lively, make it interesting. And I've only met Nick very recently. When I say recently, I mean like
2 days, a day.
Yeah, like
maybe 2 days.
Yeah. I would like to know, and I think our people that would make their way to this channel would find interesting, Nick's story, how he found his way to a Polish National Catholic Church, what he finds here, what story is, what drew him into this. He's even thinking about the Diaconate program. He's quite serious. I can see that I've only known him for all of 24 hours. I know he's quite serious. He walks around with a rosary.
True.
I saw him carrying his Bible. I've heard him talk a bit, and I think his story will be quite interesting. Is that clear enough to get you going?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I guess it depends on how early you want me to start. I definitely grew up Roman Catholic. I was like the type of kid who would say a swear word and would kind of cry to Jesus about it. Overly self-conscious of literally every single thing I did wrong. Grew up with two parents who were Roman Catholic, and I guess I was like mentally ill from like a really young age. I think the first time I ever tried to kill myself I was 7. I was like 7 years old. I was like climbing out on the window. Second story window, and like my mindset as a 7-year-old wasn't that I was trying to kill myself. It was more so like an incredible curiosity of what would happen if I jumped off and just did a tuck and roll. Like I just didn't understand death maybe. But I've been on psychiatric medicine since the age of 6. Like it started out, I had really bad ADHD. My parents put me on medicine for ADHD. The ADHD medicine, I don't know if it was a stimulant or whatever, but it gave me like super bad obsessive compulsive disorder to the point where I like had a whole numerical system for everything. Like I'd look at Candyland and it would be CANDYLAND 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 10 1 2 2 1 2 2 1 2 2 1 2 over and over again. I couldn't see anything without constantly doing numbers. And they say like OCD is you got a lot going on in your brain, you're just trying to find some sort of organization. But I honestly feel like it was just the medicine that made me super sick. And so I like tried to convey it to my parents, and I was like, hey, I want to be off this medicine. It's making me crazy. And they're like, no, you're just like, you're unwell. Like, you need another medicine. So we added another medicine on for obsessive compulsive disorder. And before you know it, I was getting super angry all the time. I was so pissed off, like about everything. So they put me, instead of taking me off of certain meds, they added another one. And before you knew it, I was just on all kinds of different things. They're like, hey, you got borderline personality disorder, you got bipolar disorder, you got this, you got that. I mean, I grew up, I was in my teens, I was doing all kinds of things. I was crazy violent. I was getting really angsty, still religious at this point, not like religious because I wanted to be, but more so like my parents were religious, so went to church because I was supposed to go to church and things like that. My stuff got so bad, I was sent away. Like at the age of 16 years old, my parents literally paid transporters to, I remember getting picked up. I was in a Catholic school too. I was at NDCL, Notre Dame Cathedral Latin. And I came home on a school night and my parents were like, hey, I was like, where are my brothers? Like, it's weird they're not here. They go to the same school. Well, they're at your uncle's house. And I was like, oh, okay. That's sort of strange. Like, why would they be at my uncle? It's a school night. So they took me out to dinner. I'm like, you hate me. Like, you're always pissed off. You love me, but like, I'm clearly not acting right. We're always like in a fight. Why all of a sudden are you about to take me out to dinner? They took me out to dinner. It was a Mexican restaurant. I get home. We're watching the movie Poseidon. I remember the movie. I'm like, I gotta take my psychiatric meds. I gotta go to bed. I got school in the morning. I'm getting tired. Seroquel's knocking me out, Depakote, whatever I was on. So I'm like, gonna go to bed. And 2 a.m. hits. And, turns out my parents had hired transporters to take me to this facility called SUS at the Carolinas, SUWS, like something skills, something under wilderness survival or whatever, in the Pisgah National Forest in North Carolina. And I spent 4 months there. I'm eventually graduating the program there, and then all of a sudden they're taking me to Logan, Utah. And Logan, Utah is like this lockdown facility, residential treatment center for like kids who are all sorts of whacked out or whatever, and more meds are getting dumped into my system. And I grew up through my whole teens going through these different programs, and I get into my 20s and I'm on even more medicine, all kinds of different things like that. I'm incredibly suicidal. I started cutting myself, like really cutting myself. And not even so much like to kill myself, but like, like I got so much stuff going on, like it's easier to just feel physical pain than it is to feel emotional pain. And, I get into my 20s and it gets really bad. Doctors have got me on Klonopin for my anxiety, like benzodiazepines, and I'm eating them like candy. Like, I'll take one, I'll forget I even took one, or maybe I just want another one and I'm just taking them, and I'm addicted to benzos. I'm withdrawing off benzos if I run out. And it honestly got so bad to the point where it killed all of my like inhibitions, like the things that you would normally feel like, oh, this is wrong. I'm so drugged out on just a medicine that my doctor prescribed that I'm like setting fires. I'm like killing animals. Killing cats, like killing animals, doing crazy stuff, being a terrible, terrible person. Giving into literally every single vice under the sun, sleeping around, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Just trying to fill the void, just trying to be something to find happiness, and I'm just drugged out of my mind. I've been in hospitals over and over again. I've been in probably 30 or 40 psychiatric facilities throughout the course of my life. And that's no exaggeration. I've been on like 50 different psychiatric medicines, so many different pills, so many different drugs, so many different spots, in and out, suicide attempts, cutting myself, all kinds of different stuff, acting crazy. And it wasn't until I was like, I eventually have my first kid with a girl that I meet in a psychiatric facility. At the time, I'm like, not a model, but I have out of Cincinnati, there's a place called like New View Modeling, and they caught me in a mall one day and they were like, hey, you and your brothers are good looking kids. And I was the only one of my 3 brothers that decided to like pursue it. And I'm still like zonked out of my mind on Klonopin and stuff like that, and ended up quitting the modeling career after getting hospitalized psychiatrically, meeting this girl hooking up with her literally in the psychiatric ward, moving to Arizona with her because she's going to be a professor's assistant at U of A. You know, she just graduated from Case Western. So I was like, oh, this is a perfect opportunity for me to see the world, get out for a little bit, end up having a kid, move back to Ohio, hospitalized again, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. I'm acting a fool. And then I have a second kid with a whole nother woman later on, after that relationship didn't work out. So now I got 2 kids with 2 different women, and my life is still going to shit. Like, I am a mess. I'm smoking weed all the time. Just to try to, like, yeah, I was a mess. And then, I don't stay with that woman either. I don't. And I continually get entirely messed up all the time, just not even like doing drugs, just I'm not well. I'm on psychiatric med after psychiatric med. Some of them are working, some of them are making me worse. I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm still smoking pot, literally all the time. So then, I get hospitalized. Again, I don't know how many times this is at this point, 30, 40 times. And I meet another girl in a psychiatric facility and impulsively move in with her. It's the woman who I'm with now. And she ends up getting pregnant. I'm losing my mind. I'm going crazy again. What am I doing? This is going insane. And I full on try to kill myself. I genuinely try to kill myself. I don't know if the other times it was like a half-assed attempt or what, but this time I'm in the hospital. They're like, hey, we're going to admit you. And I'm like, oh, you're going to admit me? Now I'm going to kill myself in the hospital. So I put my head through a reinforced wall to the point where, like, I have a full-on concussion. Like, I am messed up. And I'm actively killing myself in the hospital room, bashing my head into this wall, beating the crap out of myself. They send all these hospital people in to try to subdue me. There's no way they can subdue me. So they decide they're going to trank me with ketamine. So they pump ketamine into this thigh, ketamine into this thigh, and before you know it, I'm gone. It is complete ego death. I have no idea I'm a human being. I have no idea that I'm Nicholas. I have no idea where I came from. I don't remember that I have kids. I don't remember anything, but I'm conscious. Not like conscious, like I can see, like I'm gone. There's no...
How long did that last? How long were you out?
I have no idea. It felt like eternity to me. So this is...
You're not sure?
But it wasn't weeks. I mean, it was probably a matter of 30 minutes to hours.
Okay.
That I'm genuinely out. To me, what I'm experiencing is I'm churning. It is white. It is gray. I'm consistently churning into, let's call it the void. And to me, it feels like eternity. So at first, it's like this, I felt like this genuine pressure, like I'm just churning into myself, but I don't know what myself is. I don't remember that I was a human. I just remember I was coming from somewhere, and now I'm just going back to the thing that made me. And I am not religious. I have completely renounced religion. And I think it should be incredibly apparent that, like, while all this stuff is going on, I'm no longer that religious boy. The 20, 30 years after being a kid where I grew up religious, I'm 36 years old. So there's a good 25-year period there where I'm like, I hated Christ. I hated every single, I was so pissed at my mom. My mom, 3 years ago, bought me a Bible. She's like, you're 33 years old. I know it's Christmas. I bought you this. And I open it up and it's a Bible. And I don't want a Bible. I don't want this. Like, you know me, Mom. I'm reading books on, like, high magic and stuff like that. Like, I don't want this. I'm reading Aleister Crowley. I'm doing everything I can to try to, like, materialism, like, make my life better, because I'm pissed, But now I'm experiencing something that, like, and I can talk about it now, but at the time, all it felt to me was like an eternity of churning into the void. I have no idea how long I was actually out. 2 days later, I was vivid enough to recollect 2 days later, I'm being held by like nurses and I'm screaming, why am I still here? Why am I still here? I was dead. Why am I still here? I was so pissed to find out I was still alive. But to me, it felt like eternity turning into white and gray. And there was a period where, although I'm not aware that I was a human, I no longer remembered that I had kids. I was just aware that I was going back to whatever made me. At the time, it felt like I was a bunch of zeros and ones. And I'm like, I'm going to find out that this was all just some sort of a computer program that made me. And, I'm going to wake up and someone's like, well, how was it? How was your experience? I'm thinking like it's a freaking simulation or something, And, those are the thoughts that are like sort of running through my mind while I'm just like churning into myself. Like, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to find out it was all simulation. Someone's going to unplug me and they're going to go, well, what'd you think? And I'm going to say I hated it. But while all that's going on, having no recollection where I was coming from, I had no memory that I had kids or anything that was going on, there was a period where I distinctly remember submitting to it. And I was just like, you know what? Just take me. And the moment I did that, I was so calm. I had the perfect peace. I just felt like I was on a conveyor belt waiting for, now I can say it, God to take me. But at the time I was like, whatever made me is about to take me back. I'm just going to wait for it. I spent eternity just waiting for it. And I didn't know this at the time, but when I finally came to, I was screaming over and over again because as they were tranking me, I was like, just let me die. I don't understand why you're doing this. Just let me die. Let me die. Let me die. Screaming to the doctors and nurses as they're holding me down, tranking me with the ketamine. Just let me die. And when I woke up, I was like, I just want to live. I just want to live. And I'm screaming. I'm like, where am I? Where am I? And they're like, you're in a hospital. You're in a hospital. I was like, I just want to live. Let me live. And then for like the next 2 days while I'm in the psychiatric facility, I'm having major bouts of like crying. Why am I still here? I don't understand. The only book I had with me in the hospital was that Bible my mom gave me. I actually brought it with me to this retreat. It's an NIV. And so I brought the NAB too, because it's a Catholic Bible, but I brought the NIV, the one my mom got me, because I just have to have it with me. I sleep with it.
You had a conversion.
I read it cover to cover, and it just like clicked. It was just like, I'm telling you, the moment I read that book cover to cover, it was the only thing that was true. And it made sense. And I felt so comforted by the words. I was just like, this is, at first, like, as I'm reading it, I'm reading the Old Testament and everything, and I'm like, this is really hard to get through, a lot of it. And I just kept pushing and kept pushing. This is the only book I had with me. And I was like, I just want to finish it. I gotta at least say I've read the Bible. Like, and then it all made sense.
And you got to the New Testament?
Got to the New Testament. I read the New Testament. Jesus' words just like hit me. The Pauline letters. Everything made sense. Now, when I got out from the hospital, while I was in the hospital, I'm still reading the book. And my brothers, both of my brothers, Timothy and Dominic, come to visit me. And I'm telling them, I'm like, well, I'm reading the Bible. It's actually making me feel pretty good. And they're like, well, that's cool. Dominic, the one I gave the Bhagavad Gita at one point. I gave Dominic the Bhagavad Gita. I was like, you should really read this. I was like, screw your Bible. Like, you need to read this. This will. And Dominic's like, all right, I'll hold on to it. Thanks. You wrote your stuff in it anyway. But pretty sure he never read it. He was like, it's cool to see you reading the Bible again. And then Timmy came to visit me. He's like, dude, I'm so happy that you're at least giving this a chance. Like, I remember how pissed you were when Mom gave you that Bible. I'm like, yeah, I know. It took me about 2 or 3 weeks to get released from the hospital. I'm still not finished with it entirely. I'm still like on the Pauline letters. So I get home. My partner Ashley is like, I mean, I'm not married, so I call her my partner, you know. She's like, she really thought I was in a psychosis. She's like, what is going on with you right now? Like, this is all you're talking about. You just keep talking about this. Like, I'm happy for you. Don't get me wrong, Nick. Like, I'm happy for you. But I think she really thought I was in, like, a psychosis, you know, especially after I told her I got tranked with ketamine. And I just kept reading, and I kept talking about it all the time. I was like, can I read this to you? You know, I'm, like, reading it to her, and she was, like, really just humoring me. And then I finish it, and I start it over again. And I, like, keep reading it. And she's like, oh, it's not ending. Like, you're still on this kick, huh? And I'm like, yeah, like, I know there's something here. Well, it turns out we live 2 blocks down from a church. And I don't know of the church or anything about the church. But one day I was like, I think I just need to start going to church for a moment. So one day, and it's probably not even a Sunday. Maybe it was a Sunday, but I guess I can't really tell you that, to be honest. I don't remember. I walk into this church. And I attend Mass. And it kind of rings back, because, like, Polish National Catholics are not that far liturgically from the Roman Catholic Mass. Like, it's just not. It's really not. So it was really familiar. I mean, I knew a lot of what to say and how to say it without even looking at the missal. The only thing that really was different and that stood out to me is that we do, like, a general confession. And there's a general penance. And I was like, well, this feels good enough. And so I actually felt okay enough to take the Eucharist after having never, you know, I haven't gone to,
a long time.
I haven't been to confession in forever, since I was a kid. So I took the Eucharist. And I wasn't quite sure if I took it appropriately, you know, but I was like, I need to do this. So I did. And I kept coming back. I went back, if not the next Sunday, the next available day that I knew there was going to be a Mass. And then just kept going back. And kept going back, and it was probably once a week that I went back, maybe twice a week.
They have daily Mass there?
Well, they do. So it's Mondays at 9 a.m. They recently switched it from Wednesday at 9 a.m. to Tuesday at 9 a.m. Sometimes it goes back and forth. Sometimes it's like a Wednesday 9 a.m., but now it's Tuesdays. I think it just worked better for the parishioners. Wednesday, they have a 9 a.m., and then we have food ministry now, but I wasn't doing food ministry at the time. And then 10 a.m. Thursdays, Father Jim does it. And it's always Father Jason, but Father Jim does it 10 a.m. on Wednesdays, or Thursdays rather. Fridays, 9 a.m. And Saturdays, there's no Mass. And on Sundays, there's a Mass. So there's always 2 days where there's no Mass. There's no Mass on Saturdays, and then it's either a Tuesday or a Wednesday with no Mass. But it sort of has been alternating.
Most of the week.
5 days a week.
Okay, yeah.
Now I go 5 days a week. And I just kept going, and I kept going, and at the time I'm still on the psychiatric medicine that the doctor gave me, but it just doesn't seem to, and I was still smoking weed. I don't smoke weed anymore, actually. I don't take any psychiatric medicine anymore. At one point or another, the psychiatric medicine wasn't working for me. And so I was like, I need to just stop taking this. And rather than even consult with the doctor, I just stopped taking it. Kind of weaned myself off of it. I was like, I just don't trust this medicine. And instead of continually seeing a doctor, which obviously isn't advised, I just sort of stopped taking it and was like, oh, this is my medicine. I don't need anything else. I'm just going to keep getting the Eucharist. It's changed my life.
And now you're off everything.
I don't take any medicine. I don't smoke any weed. I used to smoke like 2 packs a day of cigarettes, but I quit that a long time ago. I use like the nicotine pouches now. And like, I still get angry. I definitely still get frustrated. I still get anxiety. It's not like all of a sudden I'm just like cured. Like there's nothing wrong with me. Like, well, I do. But it's nothing like it was. I think, like, I've read thousands of books. I spent my whole life just like reading books, trying to figure out which words are going to be the keys to unlock what I need to know. You know, everything from like Damien Eccles stuff, like High Magic, Red Book, Carl Jung. I still love that book. All kinds of different stuff. You know, Plato. I've got books, Aristotle. I've got all kinds of different things. But I never found it. A lot of Gnosticism stuff too. I had a lot of like. I never found it. This clicked, and it's not just like, oh, reading the Bible fixed it. Like, I genuinely believe that if I didn't go to church not every day, but like if I didn't receive the Eucharist as much as I do, I wouldn't be the same way.
How long has it been since you walked into the church and you started to experience this transformation?
Over a year.
Okay.
I've been going to Mass 5 times a day for a little over a year.
Okay.
I receive the Eucharist every time I go to Mass. There was one time I didn't with Father Jim because I didn't fast beforehand, and I felt really weird about that. I was like, yeah, I definitely didn't. Like, it's not like, oh, I just drank some extra black coffee in the morning. Like, I was eating a full breakfast, and it was like 20 minutes till church. I think I probably even put a nicotine pouch in before I went. I was like, this just doesn't, I don't feel like I was giving
No, you
proper,
need to fast.
you know,
It's
you need
supposed
to,
be 2 hours.
2 hours. Yeah. So, and I do that every time, but that one day I didn't, and I was like, I can't take this. And Father Jim was ready to give it to me, and I was like, I didn't fast. And he's like, okay, and he gave me a little blessing. But for about a year and a half, I have now gone to Mass at least 4, if not 5 times a week, received Holy Eucharist. I go to personal confession once a month. I've done that for 3 months now. I haven't done it the whole time, but 3 months now I've been going to personal confession because I felt like I needed a little bit something more other than general confession.
Yes.
And now I really, I'm deeply considering seminary. So when I first talked to Father Jason about it, I was like, hey, you know, if I didn't have 3 kids, I would just up and join a seminary right now, you know, but I feel like I'd just be abandoning my family. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't want to do that. Like, and I spent a lot of time praying on this too. I was like, you know, should I? Because part of me feels like this is like my last chance. You know, I was like, I've spent so much of my life repeatedly trying to kill myself, getting myself into all sorts of, even if I wasn't actively trying to kill myself, I was doing things that were so dangerous that I could have been either arrested for the rest of my life and or accidentally killed myself. Like, there was one point or another where I was so messed up, I ran out of the house with barely any clothes on, so out of my mind with personality disorder that I went down to the quarry, like the area where we have like this big rock and all this water's coming through and everything right by my house. And the police were looking for me, and they even sent drones out, the heat-seeking drones trying to find me or whatever. I mean, I'm down there meditating on a rock at the time, like, and then hiding from them, trying not to get them to find me. And they sent heat-seeking drones out. By the time they finally found me, they had dogs, they had guns pointed at me. They're like, do you have a weapon on you? I'm like, I don't have a weapon on me. Because they actually called him, and she's like, I think he ran out of the house with a knife. And I didn't actually have a knife, but I was wielding one beforehand, threatening that I was going to cut myself with it. So she had a reason to call the police. I was out of my mind. I was completely lost. I don't know what else to say. Like, it sounds just, sometimes I talk about it and I'm like, it's just going to sound stupid to another person because they're just going to think that I'm.
This is really, well, I feel stupid saying it's really interesting because it's a lot more than interesting. It's amazing. But in terms of this channel that we've been running for a very short time, we do a lot of intellectual stuff, you know, comparing the Roman Catholic Church with the Orthodox, with old Catholics and the PNCC. It's a lot of heady stuff, but this is a gut level story. So, I mean, you show that, like, just a guy who just lived down the street from one of our churches came into the church and started experiencing healing. That's quite a testimony that people are like, does this work? Well, here you go. It works.
Yeah, it does.
Do you think a lot about like why didn't you go to a Roman Catholic church? Do you ever think like, well, what's the difference? Does it matter? I mean,
Well, the reason I went to this one was because it was so readily available.
Yeah.
Upon being in this one, the thing that stood out to me right from the get-go was the fact that we had generalized confession as part of the Mass. Now, I remember from growing up, there were very specific set times where you had to go. It was available for you to do a personal confession. And without doing a personal confession, you couldn't receive the Eucharist. You just couldn't receive it. And if you were receiving it, it was invalid. That I remembered, because that stood out. That's part of Roman Catholic doctrine. So, to me, and I don't know if this is true or not, it seemed as though the Eucharist was more accessible, because I didn't feel, at least conscience-wise, after attending even a single Mass right from the get-go, they make it very clear you're confessing your sins. You say a Confiteor in Mass, at the beginning of Mass. You are given in the Mass a penance to carry out. You are then absolved in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit of your sins. And then you can receive the Eucharist. To me, it felt like the Eucharist was so accessible to me in that moment. I went down on my knees and I was like, even in the small amount of time I had, my mind is rushing with everything I've ever done wrong. And even though I couldn't even articulate it if I wanted to, all in that short amount of time, my heart knew exactly what I was putting out there. And then to be forgiven of that, right in Mass, and then be able to go take the Eucharist, was a game changer for me.
You didn't have to carry it anymore.
No. No, I didn't.
That's amazing. Thank God.
Yeah.
How has it changed your family life, the dynamic?
Oh, man. Well, in a lot of ways. At first, people were cautiously optimistic. Like, why is Nick all of a sudden talking about Jesus? That's not Nick. Nick doesn't talk about Jesus. They literally thought I was out of my mind. And they believe, but they thought I was on drugs. Which hurt a little bit. Kind of hurt my heart, because I knew I was serious. But I could understand it. I could understand. And then they were happy. They were like, wow, that's cool. And then they heard, hey, he's not only going to church, he's working for the church. Like, now I cut the grass. Like, I'm the outside groundskeeper for the church. At the time, I had a part-time janitorial position for like an insurance company. So I was going to clean and hated it. I felt so unfulfilled. I even talked to Father Jason about that. I was like, I'm just a stupid janitor. Like, I'm just unfulfilled in my life. Like, I want to just join the seminary and do something that's right now. And, but I'd be leaving my family. Like, I got an 8-year-old, I got a 4-year-old, I got a 6-month at the house. Like, 6 months now, but at the time she was only like a month old. And he's like, yeah, no, I agree, and these things take time. He's like, you're on the right path. Just stay with it. Like, not everything needs to happen at once. You're okay. And I was like, but I really do. I feel so unfulfilled. I even ended up quitting that job. I'm on disability. Like, I am on disability because I have the mental illnesses. There was one point or another I broke 2 parts of my spine from smacking my head into walls over and over, like all kinds of stuff. So now he employed me as the groundskeeper for the church because he's like, hey, do you have, at one point or another, the guy who was doing it was getting a little bit older, and he's like, do you have any experience doing landscaping? And I was like, oh yeah, yeah, I've done landscaping for like 7 to 11 years. My uncle owned a landscaping company. So he's like, well, would you mind helping out with the church? So I started doing it for a bit, and then he employed me to do that. And then one of the ladies at the church, Kathy, who was she's a little bit older too, she was doing the interior janitorial work, the custodial work. She was looking to retire, and he asked me if I would do that. So then I picked that up. So now I'm doing that too. It's wild because I was a janitor for a stupid insurance company that I didn't want to be a janitor for, and now I'm the janitor for the church. Like,
you enjoy it?
Now I love it.
Okay.
Yeah, now I'm like, how cool is that? Like, now I get to clean the church. Like, yeah, it's a blessing, man. Like, God kept me close to the church even, like, so I didn't leave. Like, it's like, hey, you need me, I need you. Like, stay here. You have a job here now. How's that for fulfilling? This is the best thing that ever happened to me. That's why I'm on this retreat. That's why I paid $175 to come on this retreat. I don't have any money. My bills I'm 2 months behind on every bill I have, man. Like, no joke. I suck at finances, but I was like, this is so important to me. This is my everything. And so I talked to Father Jim the other day too. I was like, hey man, like, yeah, this is something I was talking to Father Jason about, but obviously I got these kids and everything. He's like, well, we have like an online program too. You wouldn't even have to necessarily leave your family yet and just go right into the seminary. Like, you can do some online stuff, these guys come in here, they try to get them out in 3 years, seminary or whatever, but like, what's to stop you from dragging it out? Really learn it. You love it. You want to learn it anyway. Even if you slow your roll and we don't fast track you, you just do some stuff at the house.
And stuff will happen. Doors will happen.
I know. And I don't have to rush it, but I cannot. And that's why every time I talk about it, I'm just like, well, I'm always willing to talk about it. But when I do talk about it, I feel sort of like, I feel silly talking about it a little bit sometimes, because I'm like, to me, it means so much. But to try, like, I'll never be able to explain what my life was like before. Like, I'll never be able to explain how far away from it was, how much I hated it, how much I hated my dad and my mom for being, what's really interesting too, and I know this isn't like, I know we're not Roman Catholic, and like, but what's really interesting about my dad is my dad has ALS. He's got Lou Gehrig's disease, and he's had it for 10 years. When he was diagnosed with it, along with a lot of his friends, he was given 2 years to live, 1.5 years, 2 years max. And all his friends that had it, they're dead already. My dad, having only like a 2-year timeline and fortunately having a lot of money, he was a big shot lawyer, he decided he was going to actually like fly to Italy because he's Roman Catholic. And he was going to fly to Italy and he was going to go meet the Pope. And he did. He actually flew to Italy. He met the Pope. And he wasn't supposed to meet the Pope. But this is just how powerful God is in general. He wasn't even supposed to meet the Pope. There's 40,000 people there waiting to see the Pope. And he just happened to be in a limo. And the limo driver happened to know somebody at the gate. And he was like, hey, can I go talk to my friend? We're waiting in this stupid line anyway. And my dad's like, yeah, whatever. So he goes to talk to the guy at the gate. And the guy at the gate lets him in, and he's sitting down with all the other handicapped people right in the front. This is when Pope Francis before Pope Francis passed. And like, I know we're not under the Pope, but like, we also recognize that the Pope is still a spiritual man. Yeah. It's still God at work. Yeah.
We're part of the Catholic faith. It's a little bit weird exactly, but we are.
We are Catholic.
Yeah.
We are Catholic. And like, although we might not fall directly under the Pope, like there are priests, deacons, bishops, people who are with God. God is with them. He somehow got right in front of the Pope, and I have a video of it on my phone that I can always pull up at will, and the Pope blesses my father. My father goes to stand up. He's in line. He wants to stand up so bad, and the Pope walks up to him and says, "Sit down. I know what's in your heart," and blesses him. And my father is still alive, 10 years in, with Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS. And the funny thing, not funny, that happened with his ALS, it's the same thing Stephen Hawking had. The last thing to go for Stephen Hawking was his diaphragm, his ability to breathe on his own. That's what killed him.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first thing to go for my dad, his ability to breathe or eat on his own. So the fact that he's still alive is a freaking miracle. He's still walking. He does yard work. He's planting trees in his backyard. In fact...
And so your dad has a blessing?
Yeah, so he has the blessing, and, you know, he, even a year ago, his heart stopped, and he was dead for 20 minutes. Like, legally dead for 20 minutes. And all of a sudden, he's fine. He's back alive. He has to relearn how to walk. He has to relearn how to talk. His brain doesn't work correctly. He can't remember anything. He thinks his father's still alive. His dad's been dead for 15 years. And that was even before I had this experience. It was like a little over a year and a half ago. So when I went back to the PNCC, or when I walked in the door there, I realized that they were apostolic succession. And I was like, so you're still part of the Catholic Church? Like, because this, I knew this was different. I knew this wasn't Roman Catholic. I didn't even really understand what Polish National Catholic was. I just knew that I was able to receive the Eucharist because I did that. I didn't really know anything about other churches or other branches. And when I found out we were still part of apostolic succession, but not under Rome, not under the bishop, I was like, whoa. So this is actually a branch of Catholicism?
We have bishops, but we're just not under...
Not under the Pope is what I meant to say. Yeah, not under the Pope. I was like, this is a branch of Catholicism that is not under the Pope. Doesn't recognize papal authority. It's not like one person with the cardinals telling everybody that this is how we're going to do things and everything. So I actually didn't have a problem staying because that was one of the things originally that I sort of had a little bit of a issue with, because it wasn't just even God. It was like, well, how can one person who's appointed with cardinals even be able to change the dynamics of the church and just decide that we're going to start doing all these other things. That was one of the things I always threw at my mom and I threw at my dad. I was like, you know, you're not even talking about just God at this point. It's not even a direct way straight to God. We're not directly under God. So I recognize that the PNCC was actually under apostolic succession, that we had bishops that came over and started this. So I realized that what I had received was actually the host, was actually the Eucharist, which I guess I wasn't fully aware of. I just knew that it was, oh, I can receive, you know, rule-wise, because I did this.
It had power in your life, like from the get-go, right?
Oh, it's without a doubt.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm just opening up a little thing here and that's not the Eucharist, like it was. I am entirely different. This is going to be the rest of my life. I don't exactly know how this is going to be the rest of my life. I'm even willing to give up everything I have for this, which is the scary thing. That's the thing I keep talking to. It's a scary thing, but it's an empowering thing. That's the thing I keep talking to Father Jason about. That's why I brought it up to Father Jim the other day, is that I actively wanted to pursue this, and I couldn't figure out if I was abandoning my family if I pursued it. And so when he presented me with that opportunity, I was like, hey, you can do it, but you can do it a little bit differently where you're not leaving your kids and stuff like that. That was a game changer. So
you may start the diaconate soon.
I hope.
Okay.
I actually hope so.
Okay. God willing. Yeah.
God willing. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to stop me from doing it. I just need to talk to the right people and
You apply and stuff.
apply and things of that sort. I'm so conditioned to think that I'm mentally unstable because I grew up since 6 being told that I'm ill. Maybe I was. Now I'm like, why were they just lying to me the whole time? Was it just the meds that were making me sick? Why am I okay now?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I okay now that I'm off the medicine? Was it just the medicine that was making me sick? Was it because since 6 years old I just started taking drugs and then one drug led to
Now
another?
your mind is clear because it's not clouded by these drugs.
Oh yeah. I mean, but I don't think that's it. I don't think it's just that.
Oh yeah, you've had a spiritual transformation as well.
Yeah.
And it's ongoing.
Yeah. But I'm terrified of being parted from it. And it's not like in a superstitious sense. Like, it's not like, oh, I carry the rosary around me because I'm superstitious that I don't have it. I'm like, I need constant reminders. Like, this is my last shot. Like, I'm not going to get it. Something just, like, told me. I was like, this is, something just, I don't know. It just sounds dumb when I say it. Something just told me that this is my chance. Like, I would have been dead. I know I would have been dead.
It sounds like you were.
I would have been.
You wanted to die.
I did.
Numerous times.
I didn't want to be here. I didn't want to be here when I woke up. I was convinced that I was dead. I spent eternity, to me, I don't care how long it was in the real world, I spent eternity churning into the void, waiting for God to take me back. Waiting for my maker to either take me back or throw me into the fire. And I was just waiting. It was an eternal waiting room. I will never forget what that felt like. I talk about it all the time with Ashley. I remind my brothers about it all the time. Every time I talk about it, it's the same thing. I call it the churning. I'm sure people experience it differently. Everyone's like, oh, I was dead. I saw this white light. I don't know what you saw. I know what I felt. I know that I spent an eternity just waiting for God to either take me back or throw me out. And then I was put back here and I was pissed. I was pissed that I was still alive. And all I had in front of me was the Bible. And so that's what I chose to read, just to at least say that I read it. And then it wasn't, oh, I'm reading this just because I want to. I was like, I have to read this. Like, this is, I couldn't stop reading it.
Sanity to wholeness.
Yeah.
If we could wrap up. So, our culture is pretty insane. There's a lot of people with very empty lives who are medicating themselves. There's a lot of mental illness out there, you know.
Oh, yeah.
How could you, like, if you were going to just sum it up in a few minutes to these people, what would you say? To speak to the culture, the craziness of the culture.
We're all sick. We're all sick in a little bit of a way. Like, we all have sickness in us. This world that we're in, it's almost like when Jesus came, he found us in a state of intoxication. Not even the people who were doing drugs. It's like he found all of us in like this state of intoxication where we just didn't know his Father. We didn't know God. And I think it made him sad. And I think he wanted to help. And I think in this culture, many of us don't really understand that. And so we're looking for help. We know that we're sort of sick. We know that we need to constantly be doing something, or we have this, like, I don't know if it's just some people call it ego or a drive or it's this, but there's a part of us that is always searching for what's missing. And we're trying to fill it up. And some of us are so sick that we need to be medicated, or some of us are so sick that we self-medicate, or some of us are so sick that we eat a lot of food, or need to constantly be scrolling, or constantly be playing a video game, or constantly be doing this or that. Or some of us are workaholics, or no, how much money can I get? But this isn't permanent. And I think the biggest thing I learned is that it's not permanent, because when I died, when I was in that state, not even being a believer beforehand, having completely renounced the faith, as I'm dying, I know I'm waiting for what came next. That was the biggest thing I got out of it. Yeah, I'm turning into the void, but I'm in an eternal waiting room, and I couldn't figure out what I was waiting for. I'm waiting for whatever made me to take me back or throw me out. And that was the biggest thing I took out of it, is there's something after. And I guess the biggest, bluntest message I can make to any human being, whether it be my own children, which I try to, or anybody, is that this isn't where we stay. We're like, not a tourist here. We're not tourists, because a tourist goes where they're going to go, and they try to consume as much as they can and push people out of their way to see the sights, and we're pilgrims.
Yeah, pilgrims, sojourners.
We're pilgrims here. And we can either be, when we find our destination, when we find what we're actually going towards, it needs to be, we need to stick to that. We need to consecrate ourselves to that. Because once we do, our life has a purpose. And once our life has a purpose and a destination, then we set our sights on it. And we know this isn't where we stay. You don't go on a trip and go, oh, my hotel room, this is my new home. This is where I live now.
Right.
You go, well, this is where I'm at temporarily until I go back home. And that's how I look at this now. I'm like, this is temporarily where I am until I go back home. And while I'm here, I need to do everything I possibly can to go home.
Training yourself. Yeah.
And there's rules to it. Not rules like, but there's rules to it. You can't just do whatever you want. It's not like, oh, you're just, oh, well, he forgave you. You can do whatever you want now, and you're forgiven. Like, no, he made it very clear that we're supposed to act and behave a certain way and love people and love ourselves, but not like love ourselves to the point where we just treat other people bad because we want to be okay.
It talks about loving our enemies too.
Yeah, and that's a very unnatural thing to do. Like, we don't naturally want to love our enemies. Like, that is not, that's hard.
Yeah.
And forgiveness is really hard.
Yeah.
But the one thing about forgiveness is like, it's not necessarily, so you screw me over and I forgive you, or I'm working to forgive you. I'm not doing that for you. I'm doing that because if I don't forgive you, then I'm holding on to hate. Then I'm holding on to anger, and that is affecting the way I treat everybody. That is affecting the way I treat myself. That is affecting the way I go about my life. I'm pissed off now. And the other thing that's really important to notice is whatever is in your heart, whatever you're thinking, whatever your thoughts are, whatever your feelings are, whatever your angst is, you see everything else like that.
Through that filter.
Yeah, it's like a Snapchat lens.
Mm-hmm.
It's like all of a sudden you put a lens on everything and everything sucks.
Mm-hmm.
But when you see everything through the eyes of Christ, everything is beautiful. Even the stuff that isn't beautiful, you're like, this, oh, thank you, Lord, for closing this road. Because even though I can't see what would have happened had I gone down it, I know and I trust that you closed that specifically because if I went down that road, oh, I'd be in some trouble. And right now it kind of seems like a bummer because I really wanted to go there and you blocked that path. But I know there's a part of me that knows that the reason that door was shut is because I was not supposed to go there. I would have gotten myself into some real crap.
Yeah, that changes the game.
Yeah, and I don't know why. I mean, again, I really do. I know exactly what I was like. I know my brother knows what I was like. I know Ashley knows what I was like. The other aspect to it is I have these kids, and they all have different moms. They got 3 different moms, and 2 of them, the ones that I'm not with, they look at me all the time now, and they think I'm being disingenuous. They'll say some crazy stuff to me if there's something that we disagree on, and I come back with a really nice reply out of nowhere and just choose not to engage sometimes, and they're like, you're just being disingenuous, like you're all of a sudden religious now, you're all of a sudden this good guy, I know what you've done, and they'll throw all the terrible things that I've done at me back in my face and go, I know who you are, I know all the things you've done, remember when you did all this,
Mm-hmm.
And that's really tough. It's really tough when but then it reminds me of what Jesus was saying. He's like he said a prophet is not, I don't remember the words, within his own home.
Yeah, in his own home.
In his own home.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the major things that I'm dealing with right now is since everybody knows there's no real way to be good because even when you're being nice, they'll just remind you of all the times that you were.
It's going to take.
And it does. It takes some time. It takes some time, but I trust this. I trust this. I'd give up everything for this. Which
You
is,
might have to.
I will. I will.
Yeah.
I will.
Yeah. This is a very powerful story. I think I didn't know what he was going to say, folks.
No, you didn't.
It's been really interesting, and I thank you. And I hope we can stay in touch, and
I do
God
too.
bless your journey.
I do too.
And maybe I can be a part of it. I've done some teaching at the seminary. I have some training as a teacher. And
Well, it sounds like the seminary is going to be a place where eventually I am, so,
yeah, could be really great.
I can't imagine that we won't stay in touch in some way or another.
Yeah. Thanks, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you and listening to my stuff.
Yeah. Thanks, guys, for listening. Hope you enjoyed it, and come back. Stay tuned. See ya. Bye.